So what's going on with alcohol? Why is it causing us to have a hard time losing weight?
Yeah. So if you look at any alcohol product, you'll notice that they don't have a nutrition facts on the back. So a lot of people don't think about the number of calories that's in alcohol. For a shot of vodka, right? A shot of vodka is about 70 calories in it. And then like a shot of bourbon or darker liquors are about 90 calories a piece. Things like beer, just a Budweiser, just a single regular Budweiser. A Bud Light has a little bit fewer, but a regular Budweiser is about 125 to 150 calories, something like that. So to put that into perspective, the drinking like a Bud is going to be like eating a McDouble from McDonald's. So if you're crushing 6 of those in a night, you just added 6 McDoubles worth of calories to your day. So that's why a lot of people see weight loss when they cut back drinking, is because you're just not getting as many calories.
Okay.
The other problem with alcohol is that it disrupts your sleep cycles. And the issue there is that when it does disrupt your sleep, you actually increase your hunger hormone or your hunger cues in the body. And what that means is that basically the whole next day you're going to be more hungry.
Right. Dr. Sam talked about that.
Yeah. Right. So to her point exactly is that you're going to be more hungry the next day. So you're going to eat more than you probably should. The other thing with alcohol too is if you get drunk, I don't want to speak incorrectly here, but basically it increases your hunger. So by getting drunk, it increases your hunger because it decreases, if I'm remembering correctly, and I'm sorry if I'm getting this wrong for anybody out there watching, but it forces glucose into the cell, which then makes your body think that it doesn't have enough sugar, so you need to eat something. So a lot of people will tend to overeat, go to Taco Bell or whatever when they get drunk,
Waffle House,
or Waffle
Denny's,
House, yeah, anything like that. And so you'll tend to overeat a lot more when you're drunk as well. So those are some of the issues that cause weight gain with alcohol consumption.
Okay. I think one of the other things so I'm probably potentially wrong here, but some of the literature that I wrote about it is that you go out for a night of drinking and then we all, go to Denny's or whatever after.
Yeah.
And so your body is prioritizing the toxins of that alcohol to get metabolized. And so it puts the food you're consuming on the back burner, which by the time it gets to that toxin, they're stored calories now.
I'm not exactly sure if that's correct or not, but yes, to your point, your body does have to, it does push the alcohol through your liver to metabolize the alcohol. I don't know that it's going to prioritize one thing or the other, because most body systems, they run concurrently and they're always on. Basically, it's just like a volume knob. Some things get turned up while other things get turned down.
Okay.
So if you can, your body's good at multitasking, so you can just think of it as more shifting focus from one thing to the other.
Okay.
Specifically speaking, though, about what you were talking about, you're still going to absorb the calories. So you're still going to get them all when you do overeat and things like that. Even if, let's say, you had a really heavy night of drinking and you end up vomiting your Denny's or your Waffle House, you still actually absorb about 50% of those calories, because it doesn't take your stomach that long to empty. And so you actually, generally speaking, absorb still about 50% of the calories, even if you do vomit of whatever you've eaten.
Okay.
Most of the time. Yeah.
So other than affecting your sleep, affecting our performance, it's just...
So the other thing about alcohol too is it decreases what's called muscle protein synthesis. Muscle protein synthesis being your body's ability to build muscle or repair muscle. So if you are consistently over drinking, you can tend to see not necessarily muscle loss, but if you're trying to make gains in the gym, if you're trying to increase your squat, increase your bench, whatever it is, you won't increase it as quickly or at all if you're constantly using heavy amounts of alcohol. From what I understand, from the literature I've read, maximum number of drinks that per week, that's not going to super affect you. It will still have some effects that we've talked about, but that's not going to inhibit a lot, is about 2 drinks a week. And 2 drinks is like 2 shots of alcohol, 1 ounce, or not like free pouring, your
12
mixed
ounces
drinks
of
or whatever.
beer, or is it 4 or 6 ounces of wine?
Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so two of those per week. And ideally it would be like one at a time, not two back to back.
What if you just, even cut those further, like a half ounce of,
Yeah.
well, then you got a problem for real.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing too that some people talk about, you brought up wine, is that, and this has been well disproven, is that wine has an antioxidant called resveratrol in it. You sometimes hear from moms or some physicians to say, like, drink your wine.
A red wine.
Wine.
Yeah.
It's because it's good for your heart or something like that. It's not. The amount of alcohol that's in the wine is going to vastly I'm trying to think of the word that I want to use, but it's basically going to inhibit any of the benefits that you get from the antioxidants from drinking wine.
Yeah. And I think those recommendations are like very small amounts, but no one...
It's like a glass of wine at night for dinner is the recommendation that some people give. But again, based on what I just said, 2 drinks a week is really what's good for you. And you're not going to get the benefits from the antioxidants. If you just eat fruits and vegetables, you're going to get more benefits than if you were to drink a glass of wine.
Okay. I guess 2 birds with 1 stone here. Energy drinks.
Sure.
Energy drinks. We all have that problem sometimes. What are they doing to us?
Yeah, so what I think about with energy drinks is think about them like coffee. Most of them, they just are a stimulant. Caffeine is a stimulant. Again, it's going to increase your blood pressure, similar to nicotine. It's going to increase your brain's ability to focus. The problem with caffeine or energy drinks is the amount of caffeine that's in them. So normally what I recommend, if I recommend an energy drink, is pick like a sugar-free one. So like a sugar-free Red Bull is good, or like the sugar-free Monsters are fine. Try to steer clear of things like Bangs and things that have high amounts of caffeine in them. So a Bang has about 300 milligrams of caffeine, which to put into perspective is about 6 cups of coffee. And the one can. The issue with that is that if you are drinking multiple of those a day, you actually see the opposite effects of what you're looking for, which again is that increased focus, increased alertness from caffeine. If you overdo caffeine, you actually start to get the jitters, you start to have an inability to focus, and a lot of people start to get nauseous. Some people will throw up if they overdo caffeine.
Sounds like a lot like quitting smoking.
Yeah, I guess you could say that a little bit.
Symptoms with caffeine cessation?
So my thing with caffeine cessation, or like decreasing the amount of caffeine you're consuming, it's probably good to do that every once in a while. I have a caffeine addiction just like everybody else, but it's good to kind of cut it back a little bit so that when you do need, or if you do need that higher response to caffeine, that if you do a little bit of a higher dose, that you can get the response you're looking for.
Okay.
Whereas if you're consistently, let's say, drinking like 2 Bangs a day, that's a good number. That's a good amount of caffeine. Again, that's 600 milligrams. It's like 10 to 12 cups of coffee in a day. And a cup is like 6 to 8 ounces, not like a big cup, like a Yeti cup or anything like that. But it's like 6 to 8 cups of coffee in a day. So you just want to try to cut that back a little bit as best you can. A lot of people get headaches with caffeine. That's a big one with caffeine withdrawals. If you're having caffeine withdrawals, getting headaches, maybe just take a couple ibuprofen or a couple Tylenol to power you through, and then you'll be all right.
Okay. Wow. And I think that a lot of it too is going back to what sort of one of the themes here is lifestyle and habit here.
Sure.
I mean, a lot of us find out we got to go somewhere and sit through a class, and one of the stops is always at the PX to get an energy drink. So
yeah, I mean, again, I don't have a problem with energy drinks specifically. The ones that I watch out for a lot of the times are the ones that have like a full sugar Monster. So just a regular Monster that has the regular sugar is going to be about 400 calories. Maybe 300, I think is what the can says. I can't remember exactly right off the top of my head, but and if you're drinking 2 or 3 of those a day, that's like 600 to 1,000 calories that you don't necessarily need in your day.
Right.
So if you pick a sugar-free one, that's going to be much more helpful to you in the sense that it won't necessarily cause you to gain weight or get those extra calories that you don't need. Normally, I suggest no more than 1, max 2 energy drinks in a day. And again, like Sam said, we're looking to stop it by about 1 to 2 p.m. And that's because caffeine has a half-life of about 6 hours. So what that means is, let's say you do drink a Bang and you drink it at 2 p.m. That means at 8 p.m., and again, I said bangs have 300 milligrams of caffeine. That means at 8 p.m., you still have 150 milligrams of caffeine kind of circulating through your body, which again is about 2 to 3 cups of coffee still circulating through. So caffeine later in the day is really going to inhibit sleep. It's going to inhibit performance the next day because of your sleep is poor. And then it can also, again, if you're abusing caffeine, you can have just the same problem. Just like if you're not sleeping well, you can gain weight because you're not sleeping well. You're increasing that hunger hormone, those hunger cues to make you feel like you want to eat more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think I remember hearing like some other stuff with like energy drinks, especially those like hardcore rock stars with all the sugar, kind of contributing to dehydration and stuff like that.
So yeah, that's a good question. Caffeine itself is not what's called a diuretic, and that means alcohol is a diuretic. It makes you have to pee. Caffeine doesn't have that effect until you get to that like 600 to 900 milligram mark. So if you are drinking 2 Monsters in the morning, let's say, then yeah, you probably are peeing. It probably is going to dehydrate you. But if you're only drinking like 1 or 2 cups of coffee to start your day, the reason that people pee pretty quickly after they drink an energy drink or coffee or anything like that is because of the speed that they drink it. So just like water, if you drink an energy drink or any kind of liquid quickly, your body can't absorb all the fluids, and so you just pee out most of the fluids.
Okay.
And so that's why most of the time people are peeing quickly after they drink an energy drink or coffee. It's just the speed at which they did it.
Okay. Well, anything else you want to add about energy drinks that we should know about?
I don't think so.
All right, so cut them off by 2 o'clock ideally, and then try to get the 0 sugar ones.
Yep. And try to buy ones too that don't make a bunch of claims on the label. I guess that's something to have.
Yeah, I know a lot of say like recovery or stuff like that.
Yeah, so Monster, right? Monster doesn't make a ton of claims on the label, but like for example, Bang does. Bang, you see it says super creatine on the top. Actually, Bang just lost a lawsuit to Monster Energy drinks for $350 million because of their claims on there that they were fraudulent. So that's why you're not seeing a lot of Bangs around anymore, like in the vending machines and stuff like that. But yeah, so try to find ones that don't make a lot of claims, and try to find ones that are about 150 milligrams of caffeine, not too much more than that.
Okay, yeah. 150 milligrams per dose, no more after 2 p.m.
Yeah.
And 0 sugar. Those 3 should definitely help us improve.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, absolutely.